Primary coverage continues. Illinois has historically been a Democratic state.
But after the pandemic and economic downturn, some are wondering if there will be a Republican leadership at the state level.
Joining us now is former Illinois Governor Jim Edgar, a guy who was elected and reelected back in the days when there were Republican governors for a quarter century in a row there, Governor Edgar. So your reaction to the landslide victory for Darren Bailey, a guy who I know you're pessimistic about his chances in the fall?
Well, I think he ran his strategy paid off big dividends. I mean, that's a huge victory in the primary. I think one of the things I'll compliment Senator Bailey on, he is who he is. He doesn't try to pretend he's somebody different. And I think character is important. I think people want to know people. Commercials and all these things we accuse our opponents of can, I think, maybe fall on deaf ears. But he did a good job going out after his voters. His strategy, I think, was to, get the very conservatives out to vote. And he did that overwhelmingly. I think he got a lot of help from Governor Pritzker.
Well, he sure did. He sure did. He said he was
outspent,
I think but
that
not
made
really.
A huge difference in this. I'm not sure. Anytime you lose, everything you did was wrong. But I think the Irving campaign, their strategy was wrong. I think they should have spent more time talking about him as a person, as trying to say that Darren Bailey was some left winger, which is absurd. So I think they wasted an opportunity there when they could have had a much better message, and I think it cost them a lot of votes. But I don't want to take anything away from Bailey. He worked hard. He got his people out. They got organized, and they were able to win. And Trump had really nothing to do with that. I mean, he was going to win whether Trump came in and endorsed him or not. So it's a good night for him tonight. Now, the challenge is I always tell people, this politics is a two-step dance. It's great to win the primary, but you got to win the general election to make it worthwhile.
So Governor, my colleague Corey McFerrin has a question.
So, Governor, before we leave that topic, you mentioned how much money that Governor Pritzker put into this campaign in an effort to make sure Richard Irvin did not win the primary. What did you make of that from your seat on the sidelines? Have you ever seen anything quite like that before? No. But,
they did it in the other campaigns. They did it for Attorney General, and it's probably going to make the difference in that race. Probably, I think, nominating a weaker candidate than if Kim had been the nominee. But I've never seen that. It happens. You hear about it, but I've never seen that much money and that blatant, very obvious that the Pritzker people were in. They wanted Bailey. They thought he'd be an easier candidate. And I think conventional wisdom says that's right. And we'll see if that holds up. I think either Irvin or Sullivan would have been, at least my perception, been stronger candidate.
Well, listen, while you got the dog there, let me ask you, Governor, about the 15th congressional district where your friend Rodney Davis is losing by a large margin right now to Mary Miller, who was, of course, endorsed by former President Trump. She's with 73% of the vote in, she's beating him 58% to 42%. She's got a lead that looks like it may be enough.
That's a very commanding lead. Now, I'm not sure which counties haven't reported, but you get up into 73%. It's hard to change a whole lot. And I attribute that to Trump's endorsement. There's no doubt. Whereas I think Bailey was always he was a Trump person and Trump people support him. But Trump's endorsement of Miller, I think, changed the whole dynamics in that race. I didn't think it'd be enough. I thought Rodney, who's been around, who is a conservative, he's not a far right winger though, would prevail, and that does surprise me. And particularly if these numbers hold up, if it's that wide of a margin, that does surprise me. And I think it underscores that at least Trump has a huge, commanding influence in downstate Republican politics. Again, in general election, I think it's still Trump's endorsement will help in a general election downstate. I don't think it helps up north, but she's not running up north. I think she's going to do very well, it looks like. which surprises me.
All right, Governor Jim Edgar, thanks very much. Joining us from a retirement, you're spending some time with your grandkids out in Colorado, and enjoy that.
I will. Thank you and it's a good thing I'm retired too. Thank you.